with that out of the way, let's go right ahead and go into the first segment of our podcast today, which is going to be all about Cameron Brink and the LA Sparks and sort of like her status with the team. Unfortunately, she went down with a very big injury recently, and it's most likely going to sideline her for the rest of the season. So she ended up tearing her ACL in her left knee. Excuse me, my bad. But yeah, she ended up tearing her ACL in her left knee. As we all know, tearing your ACL, it's a very serious injury, and it most likely will sideline you for the rest of the season. And you won't be able, like, it takes a long time to sort of like recover from that, have the surgery from that as well, if the person is going to even have surgery, if they even need surgery. Depends on the treatment. We still don't know all of that yet with Cameron Brink, but she is one of the top rookies in her class. She's also very popular. She played on UCLA. She was a great scoring option, and she still is a great scoring option. She does everything on the court, and it's very very impressive. And unfortunately, her rookie season is not going to be it's not going to be remembered for her amazing stats and like the amazing numbers or records that she broke. It's only going to be remembered for the ACL injury and sidelining her for the season. And she ended up needing to get helped off the court after suffering the injury, and the Sparks ended up losing 79-70 to Connecticut on Tuesday. And Brink played under 4 minutes and committed one foul before getting hurt. So once like over the sideline, she was sent towards the locker room, but was forced to stop as a result of the pain. A pair of Sparks personnel lifted Brink off of her feet and carried her to the locker room. She is the second overall pick in the WNBA draft, and she came into the game averaging 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks. The rest of those counting stats weren't that impressive, but the 2.5 blocks is something that's impressive. And in her first season for LA, she was 4 for 11, and she tied Aja Wilson with the second most blocks in the WNBA. So that just shows you just how much of an elite talent she is compared to the rest of the veterans and the stars in the WNBA. We've seen it from Caitlyn, how Caitlyn gets all of these numbers, and how it took all of these WNBA athletes, like, either a long time, or there's not really many athletes that really have the numbers that she's averaged. Same thing can be said with Cameron Brink. I mean, averaging 2.5 blocks as a rookie, it's that is valuable. And it's somewhat like, I don't want to say it's the same story as Victor, because we only have a very small sort of playing pool. I mean, only 15 games of playing. That's not really enough to determine like, oh, her entire season is like Victor Wembanyama. But just the block standpoint, and from like just thinking about how many blocks she does average as a rookie, is very very impressive. And that was one of the things that struck a lot of people's attention, not just Wemby's offense, but also Wemby's defense, being able to block shots at a very high rate. 2.5 blocks per game. That is very good. And like, I mean, it takes a lot for NBA players to average 2.5 blocks in a game. So the fact that she's able to do it as a rookie, it only shows signs of what's to come in the future and for the future of the WNBA. Because one of the things that a lot of the WNBA players benefit from in terms of defense is the fact that not a single one of them can dunk the basketball. Now, at least in game. I mean, it's rare that we see a WNBA player dunk the basketball in game, and it's a rare thing to see. So given that most of the time they're going to be taking layups, thus making it a lot easier, to block the shot, because if they're going to be going up with layups, you have a much greater height advantage when compared to the rest of the players in the league, and you don't have to worry about them, soaring high above the sky and still getting a dunk on you. And it just makes it a lot easier for them to, one, contest shots, and as well block the shots, because they don't have to worry about a strong force like that. So now, The 2019 season, I've lost a starter to injury every single year. I've been a head coach in this league. This is what Kurt Miller said. You just have to have the mentality of next person up and rally around it. So that seems to be what the Sparks are going to be doing now that Brink is injured. Now, I'm not going to say that she was an incredibly valuable piece to the team, but going into the future, and it's important that you develop the players early and pray that they don't get in the injury phase that early, because if a player gets in the injury phase early, it's possible that it could be a trend for the rest of their career and ultimately amount to and ultimately, like, that would be the main focal point of their career, their early on injuries, and how it prevented this, like, it makes another what if story, and we don't want that coming from Brink. Granted, now we have, like, usually that's what those ACL injuries would indicate, especially early on, but now with the way that treatment and technology has advanced, it seems like a lot of people and a lot of players are returning from these injuries and, like, these kinds of injuries way quicker and way more efficiently than, like, normally, I guess you could say, than, like, what you would expect. Something like when Kevin Durant went down and tore his Achilles, and everyone was like, this and that, and everyone was expecting that Kevin Durant wasn't going to be the same player that he was. He ended up returning and averaging better numbers than what he did when he didn't have that, or when he didn't suffer that injury. And, you could make the same argument for Klay Thompson directly after suffering all of those injuries onto his knee. Remember, he suffered multiple injuries while he was rehabbing from his first injury, and that eventually slowed him down from returning. But he eventually returned and helped win the Golden State Warriors another championship in 2022 before, he got the reputation of being a choker and being bad in the clutch situations and not being the same player that he was several years ago. And, we see this a lot more often, how all these players, they're recovering from these injuries. So there's still hope for her and, her career in the NBA. That's most likely, not NBA, WNBA. It's most likely not going to end here, but still, it is something that's very scary to think about. She was also on the Team USA's 3x3 team for the Paris Olympics, and a replacement will have to be named for her, which is another thing that was going to get overlooked in the WNBA season and her injury, because she was going to be part of the Olympics, and now that she's injured, she's not going to be a part of the Olympics. And the Sparks, they had to play New York in 2 games on Thursday and Saturday, and the Liberty, they are a very, very good team in the WNBA. They are one of the best teams in the WNBA with the stars that they have, Brenna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. Those 2 players are fantastic. They're great basketball players, and they're great for the game. And they, I feel like the Sparks, they're going to have a challenge. They were going to have a challenge even with Cameron Brink on the roster. But yeah, that's basically the injury, and hopefully she recovers very quickly, and hopefully this doesn't, become a trend for a majority of her career as she continues to play in the WNBA and continues to break these records and continues, well, not really, she hasn't really broken any records yet, but I'm very, very hopeful that she will, given her talent and the draft class that she's a part of. So with that, we are out of time for this first segment, So now we will go ahead and go into the second segment, where I give a quick recap of the conference finals, my opinions on, all the games, and my opinions on what the teams are going to do, what should be next for these teams, and just what I see them accomplishing in the next season. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh, I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody